Please excuse the mess. The SonarFeed appears to be having a few difficulties.
And welcome to SonarFeed. Oh, yeah.
That was impressive. That was very impressive.
Nice work. I actually got a warning from our software saying that we had too much noise in the background for a second there. Well done, Hugo. Well done. Well, folks, thanks for watching at home. We are SonarFeed. This is episode number 139 of SonarFeed. This is the goalkeeper edition, a.k.a. friend or foe. Friend or foe. I almost put Troll City, USA, but I thought that might be a little bit too much there. But we're joined today by a good friend of the show, Jonathan, a.k.a. at the goalkeeper on Twitter.
Howdy.
Thanks for joining us in.
I'm glad to be here. I will try to not get myself in too much trouble. I've been here since Friday. I haven't gotten myself in trouble with the Sounders fans yet. All I have to do is make it tomorrow morning, and then I'll be in good shape. And I might not.
Yeah, well, we'll see. The good news is we have a ride secured for you home. The armored car will be here later.
Yeah, good.
So,
Security, no worries.
Yeah, so you're good to go. I am Aaron Riley, a.k.a. Sonar Riley, and across from me is the one, the only.
Mi Vida Seattle, Hugo Garcia at your humble service.
The S2 PA announcer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that.
Let's go. It's fun
Yeah.
times, man.
Yeah, he's one of the he's the voice of S2, so to speak, when it
In
comes
the
in stadium.
I get the pleasure of announcing the goal. La sa 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 sauce.
So we this weekend ECS had their ECS versus Timbers Army FC match. So all the supporters, right? So they have the men's 2 team. They actually had, backing up, they had the Special Olympics come out in the morning. And then they had the men's 2 team, the women's team, and the men's 1 team came out.
Before that, we had La Barra's 4th annual kids tournament, La Copita 2015. Over 100 kids got a chance to play. Got tournaments, got shirts, got a little bag. And we had our first girls bracket and our girls champion this year. It was exciting. West Seattle and Fuego took down the trophy for the girls bracket. And for the 3rd year in a row, Chivitas has won the Copita. And it's been really cool because it's been the same kids because we've kind of grown to older kids each year. So it's the same kids. And there's one kid in particular. His nickname is El Chino.
El Chino.
El Chino. And I don't know why. I have an idea, but I don't know why he's called El Chino, but the kid is super talented, man. He's like
You got the connections to S2, let him know.
Yeah, you know, hey, you're right, actually. Keep an eye on El Chino in this club. The kid, he's talented, man. It was fun.
So it was cool, though, because a lot of the ECS players, James, who does the CenturyLink announcing for S1, in Stadium Voice, and then the Hugo, they called out all the names. They did the player announcements, the goals, the subs. And on Twitter, there's a ton of people who were like, it was so cool to hear my name on the loudspeaker. You know, these are guys and girls that are just playing, you know, pub league kind of stuff, you know, or, well, a little more serious than pub league, but still.
Yeah, they don't have that big match environment. They don't have the pitch. They don't have, you know, the national anthem sang by the same guy who did it at Sunday at the Clink.
Yeah,
I read some bits and pieces about it. Obviously, I know folks in ECS.
Yep.
I know folks in the TA who came up for it, and to see the front offices of the teams go down there and show up, and I was very happy to see that and to see that there's that kind of mutual respect between.
Absolutely.
You know, it definitely was like I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to sound cheesy, but a little bit of chills.
It really was. We were standing up there talking, getting ready because we announced the match and we streamed it online, which was awesome, by the way.
You've been streaming games on that thing for how long? How many years?
3 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
3 years now, believe it or not. It's hard to believe. Well, 3 years in a month now, but yeah. It's been fun, super fun, and they asked us to do it. We did the Pub League finals, and then they asked us to do this, and we're like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. It'd be kind of fun. And they asked us just to do the 6 p.m. game, and we all had our schedules freed up, so we did the 2, 4, and 6 p.m. game. And when we saw the front office walk out in like a mini march with all their signs and everything, it was so cool.
It is,
especially
man.
when we realized it was the front office. I'm like, where did those guys come from, and why are they all organized coming in late?
Why are they all late?
And then it's like, I know that person, that person,
I'm like,
that person,
hold on.
that person, that person, and I'm like,
that's an S2 ticket rep. What?
yeah, right. and the S1 director of ticket sales.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just like everybody.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
It was
so I
really
agree,
cool, man.
Jonathan. It was very nice to see. There aren't many organizations in the league that would do that, I don't think.
It's funny. My memory is jogged of the fact that the Sons of Ben play a charity fundraiser game against the Union front office.
Okay.
Each year called the River Cup. And they played at PPL Park. It has all the trappings, all that stuff, which is good. And there's a lot of conversations I know about, certainly in Philadelphia where I am and elsewhere, how much distance there is between supporters clubs and front offices and all that other going on and on.
Yep.
Something like that, it's good to see them getting along and putting their own sort of individualness to the side and things like that. It's good to see, and people getting along that has a history of growing the game in this country. So
Agreed.
Yeah.
And it is funny because you're right. You want to have a lot of the supporters want to have arm length apart.
There is. And then, needless to say, there has been, and even this season, there have been some controversial decisions.
I've made no secret over time of my sort of making the point to the folks in Philadelphia that they ought to feel free to criticize the front office as much as they want. So
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
And
we do.
I never do.
No.
and I don't.
As everybody laughs at me.
I don't suppose that any of the folks who were playing against were ever any of the folks that had the Fire Gavin Wilkinson banners up in the Timbers Army section, were they?
Of course not.
No, of course not.
No, of course they would not. So, anyway, so Jonathan, thanks for joining us.
Yes.
This is your
Good to be
last
here.
day in Seattle, I understand.
For the time being, I'm coming back in November. My alma mater's basketball team is playing UW. So I'll be
Villanova,
here for-
right?
No.
No, not Villanova.
That's
Villanova.
Mike.
That's Mike. Sorry, that was Mike.
Mine is the University of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
The proud producer of such fine soccer journalists as myself, Brian Strauss, Gab Marcotti.
Wow.
Creating a little history here, which we like.
Yeah.
Powerhouse.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
And you've been on the road for a while now, you said.
I was in Montreal last weekend. I'm heading down to California. The Union are in San Jose next weekend. I want to go check out Avaya Stadium, see some friends in San Francisco. So
Nice. Very good. And then back home?
I'm back home, and then it's that other football season that I got to put up with for a while.
Are you? Do you cover them at all, or not really?
I sit at the desk and manage all of our stuff that comes into the site
Okay.
across all sports. But this time of year, it's definitely all Eagles all the time.
All Eagles, yeah, exactly. Yep,
bet,
all
man.
Eagles.
You
all
can
the
ask
time.
Colin Lamont. I know he'll be the same opinion. So.
Yeah. Yep. Unfortunately, Colin is normally a watcher of the show, but Colin is down celebrating at Disneyland this week.
Yes.
As it was just dropped on Facebook and Twitter.
Congratulations.
He's having a baby.
Yeah.
But not him, his wife.
Yeah.
But obviously. But that would be really cool. That'd be. Yeah. Well, it was on Facebook, so
Yeah,
I assume it's all public.
Congrats when you
So-
see this on the recorded version.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yes,
because he always
congrats.
watches them all. He's always like pinging us when he can't watch. He
Yeah.
goes, when's it gonna be on? He's funny. Colin's one of those guys. Like, we're just a couple of morons who sit in a bar, talk about soccer. I mean, I'm not speaking for you.
No,
but,
no, I knew it was
mean,
about Lee. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm just a moron who sits in a bar, has a beer, and talks about soccer.
I talk about tacos and soccer.
Yeah, okay. But Colin's a guy who I have an immense respect for. His
He's
ability.
from Philadelphia area originally.
I did not know that, actually.
He did. I met him a couple years ago, and I was at the first ever Sounders Timbers game in Major League Soccer in Portland in 2011. And I reached out to Colin to do a feature, and I was looking for people in both the Portland and Seattle fan sections with ties to Philadelphia, and magically I was able to find them.
Wow.
To do a comparison, sort of equating the sort of fraternalness between Portland and Seattle with that of Philadelphia and New York. And got some, if you folks can go back and find it somewhere.
Yeah.
I wrote it back at the time.
I'll have to go back.
Some very interesting comments from folks comparing Philly, New York rivalries and stuff like that to Seattle, Portland. It was a great piece. I had a lot of fun writing it.
Yeah, it's
We definitely got to find the dude.
Yeah, I do. I want to read that. I told you offline and online, Twitter and here in person. I enjoy reading your work.
Well, I'm
and
glad there's somebody in Seattle.
yeah,
that does.
one
That's good to
person,
hear.
you know.
Now
I'm the
two.
local.
There's
Yeah.
now two. There's now
I'm
two.
making progress.
Yep. I'm on the local the fan club. I'm out there, cheering on Jonathan. But so tell us a little about, for the folks that don't know about you.
Yes.
Can tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll go into some more soccer talk. But let's want to know who you are. What makes Jonathan tick?
So I work for Philly.com, which is the shared website of the Philadelphia Inquirer and Daily News, the two big newspapers in Philadelphia. My real job is sitting at the desk from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. 5 days a week. managing all of the breaking news content from all of our beat writers across the board that comes in, making sure, like if you go on the Seattle Times website, all those headlines, all those photos, somebody had to actually put them there.
Right.
That's my job at Philly.com. I also manage our sports social media, Twitter and Facebook. I got more Twitter handles than I really should because I've got a bunch of different subject-specific ones because I also do college basketball.
I follow 3 of them. I know 3 of them.
I do college basketball in the soccer offseason, so I have one for that. I got into soccer in 1998 because I had the privilege of being in France during the World Cup. And you couldn't miss it. I wasn't there for it, but you couldn't miss it, and it came as a cultural thing, also because my French wasn't that great at that point. So it was something that I could understand on TV, but you picked up on the cultural resonance of soccer for all these folks, including the French themselves. That was obviously a watermark year for them. Came back, DC United was at its peak. It's funny, I remember very vaguely in 1997, the day that United won the MLS Cup at RFK, was the same day that the Landover football team, as I like to call them, I used to root for them quite a bit. I don't anymore.
Just tell me about it on the right here.
The Landovers were playing the Baltimore Ravens for the first time ever. And my father had gotten me tickets for my birthday. I came home, drenched to the bone, because that rainstorm that hit soaked RFK was soaking FedEx Field 10 miles down the road. And on the TV was John Harkes lifting the trophy right as ABC was signing off the air. And I remember thinking, boy, I wish I could have gone to that instead. And RFK, for as much as everybody around MLS likes to bash it, I understand why. It has got a spirit and a soul and an atmosphere that very few venues in any American sport can match.
Yep.
And especially for soccer, and especially back in those days when the lower bowl was that sort of full horseshoe shape.
Right.
Wow. And that was when I was in high school and college before the Nationals came in 2004, I think, or 5, whatever it was. And I'm a big Nats fan, but I lament some of the changes that happened to RFK because of baseball coming in. They had to reconfigure it a little bit. But I've said this publicly before, I grew up a DC United fan. I was a member of the Screaming Eagles in La Norte for a while. And I've grown up within Major League Soccer, which is not something that a lot of people around MLS can necessarily say. At this point, there's a generation of kids out there who are watching their local teams on television and wanting to go play for them, which certainly was not the case in the late 90s, early 2000s.
No way.
It was basketball for me back
but
then.
I've always, and we were talking about this before the show, the aspirations that I've held out there publicly for Major League Soccer, the things that I believe that it can do in terms of loosening the reins, spending more money, doing more with television, various other things, are all things that I believe it can do because of how I've seen it grow. I'm not just slinging idealism down from the heavens.
Right.
Which a lot of people out there do, and I understand why.
Yep.
But some of the things that I want to see are because I've seen where MLS has gotten to and believe that where it is, it can do these things now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, I think that's great.
Yeah.
Well, we did. And to feed off that, we did talk about that a little before the show. Is kind of, and if I don't want to steal your thunder on some of the things you're doing, but the idea of with the money that's come into the league, especially in the last 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, I guess too.
Right.
But the last year or two, and with the new contract and the new everything else that's been going on, it's amazing to me to look at that. The rich, quote unquote, get richer, and you look at a team like Seattle who have tremendously deep pockets, and LA who has tremendously deep pockets. And Orlando and New York City and blah blah blah. There's a lot of spending happening right now.
Yeah.
And how do some of the smaller market teams?
Well, they don't.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. My whole 5-minute question.
One of the points that I've tried to make over the years, and there's a column that I'm kicking around in my head. I didn't quite get enough out of it Sunday as I wanted, but I'll write something about it eventually. For all these years, the Kansas Cities, Kansas City and RSL, for the longest time to me, people would ask me, what are the model franchises in Major League Soccer? And I would always cite those two.
Right.
Because they were not the richest, but they were the smartest. I think we would all agree.
Absolutely.
In Major League Soccer, they've done incredibly well over the years.
Efficient.
We're seeing RSL start to get broken up in the front office now.
Yep.
Kansas City obviously is as strong as ever. And I've said Philadelphia, if you don't have the resources, then you have to make up for that with the kind of intelligence that Kansas has, and that I would say, with all due respect, Portland has.
Yeah.
Portland has made over the years, they found those diamonds in the rough. Nick Sakevich, the CEO of the Union, has told me many times that the kinds of players that he wants to go out and find for the Union are of the caliber that Portland got in Diego Valeri. Guys like that.
Okay.
Yep.
But that's starting to change now, too. Merritt is showing, and he has the money, obviously.
Absolutely.
And he's gone out and put a lot of money down for a guy like Lucas Milano. He was willing to go out and put a lot of money down to sign Josie Altidore.
Yep.
He sees how things are changing, and he's got the money to do it.
Yep.
And as I've been in Philadelphia since 2002, which is when I started going to college at the University of Pennsylvania. Graduated in 2006, went back to D.C. I love college basketball in Philadelphia. There's 6 Division I teams. A lot of them play against each other every year. And my alma mater's gym, which is sort of the spiritual home in the game in the city. Anybody,
tell me about it, man. That's
anybody
so cool.
who's out there who's been the heck at it at Washington,
Yep.
it's a very similar kind of arena,
Okay.
old, historic,
Yep.
brick and steel arches and stuff like that. I was sort of choosing at that point between soccer and college basketball. I chose to came back to Philadelphia because I'd fallen in love with the city. And then Philadelphia got a team through the work of Brian James,
Yep.
who I've known since I was in high school, and he would go down to D.C. games. That's how we met.
Wow.
A lot of people in Philadelphia would either go up to the Meadowlands to watch the Metro Stars or go down to D.C. to watch D.C. United.
Okay.
That's how I met Brian and followed what he was doing as he started to build the Union up, and it all came together. And then I've been able to explain Major League Soccer to people in Philadelphia who are new to it, who sort of knew about it but didn't really pay attention to it. To say, this is what it is, this is what it isn't,
Yep.
but this is what it can be. And what I've said to a lot of people over the years, and you guys know this because you've seen me tweet about it endlessly, if you want to tell me, as an English Premier League fan or whatever the heck you are,
Yep.
what Major League Soccer is not, I'm probably going to agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're going
Makes
to
sense.
tell me what Major League Soccer can't be, I'm going to tell you you're wrong and you're going to get proven wrong.
Yep. Yep.
Because you're not going to convince me that the league, as somebody we all know believes, is inherently inferior to Europe.
Right.
Yep.
It's not. Look, you're going to go play in the Premier League, great.
Yeah.
You're going to play in Serie A, the Bundesliga, great.
Yeah.
You're going to plant your ass at Tottenham, with all due respect, and not play when you could have gone to Roma. And
Man.
I think we know some of the reasons why it happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they were all in DeAndre's best interest.
No. Nope. Nope. I think I hope that he is realizing that, and or his people are realizing that now.
Right.
It was a poor. Roma would have been a great.
He doesn't
great
have
move.
to realize it. His people doesn't have to realize it. There's one person who does. And it just so happened that he used to play for that club. And if some of the reports are true that Jurgen Klinsmann sort of encouraged DeAndre to go there, well, I got an issue with that.
Yeah.
You want your guys playing in Europe. You look at
Yes.
Aaron Johansson going to Werder Bremen.
Yeah.
Was a perfect move.
Yeah.
If Josie, look, I'm happy that Josie Altidore is in MLS. If he had made a move like that, I would have been thrilled.
Yep.
If DeAndre had gone to Roma, I would have been thrilled. I don't know whether he'd be playing every week, but he'd be in a great environment to have a chance to maybe play in a Champions League game
In
every
a
now and
quality
then.
Right.
league, too.
Right.
Yeah.
And get the technical skills that Michael Bradley got playing in Serie A.
Yep.
Now what?
Yeah.
And, Klinsmann's going to come back and say, oh, but he's got to compete and work hard and win a spot. That's not how it works, necessarily.
No.
Coaches have biases.
That's right.
He should know that.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Well played.
Every coach has biases.
Well, except for him, right?
He's
it's
never wrong.
It's frustrating to me to see a guy of DeAndre's talents
Yeah, just
stuck there.
I agree. So today I was reading some articles about it. Was it Ives or whatever I always pronounce it wrong.
Ives Galarski,
Ives. He had an article today about it, talking about how he had a chance to go to Bundesliga, supposedly, right? And Tottenham said no. And I'm thinking Bundesliga would have been a great opportunity for DeAndre, in my opinion. It was like the lower part of it. Wouldn't have been Bayern or Dortmund or something like that, but it would have been a great opportunity for him. His speed over there and on a German team from Bundesliga, 'cause I love the Bundesliga.
The quality of that league, and I've said this on Twitter a couple times in the last couple weeks because of the Fox deal, which I'm so over the moon thrilled about because I've been a Bundesliga fan for a long, long time. It's better.
I am today.
Than the English Premier League.
It is.
It is better.
It is.
It is better from a technical perspective.
Yes.
There's
That's
more
exciting.
depth in the league.
Is.
That's exciting.
There's smarter players in the league. The atmospheres, obviously, we all know about.
Yeah.
And people are seeing this now as the games are on Fox.
Right.
I know it's a little hard for you folks out here.
Yeah, well, trust me. I was going to hold my tongue and bite it for my Comcast to yell there.
You do get, Fox Sports 2 is coming. I have heard by the end of September to Comcast.
To Comcast here?
I've heard it's coming across the country. I haven't gotten anybody.
Man.
I haven't gotten anybody
Fox
at
Sports,
Comcast
Fox Soccer
to
too.
confirm it
Fox
yet
too.
because my Comcast sources are all in Philadelphia and I've been on the road.
Yeah.
I'll get them when I get back to town. But there have been, last weekend, there were 4 games on Fox
It was
Sports 1.
so awesome. It was amazing.
It's great soccer.
I'm
and
excited,
I
man.
think that people are going to see it
Yep.
and learn about it. I'm not saying it's going to overtake the Premier League.
No.
But I think people are going to say, hey, this
This
is
is-
really good. And this is worth
cool.
watching, and it's good.
Especially
entertainment.
Chicharito going there.
Yeah,
today.
Chicharito
That
went there
announcement
today.
you tweeted earlier.
Yep.
I was like, nice.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And you're going to see people saying, hey, this is actually more fun than watching Hull and Aston Villa just boot the ball 90 yards down the field this way, that, and the other.
Yeah. So I told you before the show, but I spent a total of 4 weeks on one trip in Germany. Well, Germany / Italy, and then 2 other times I was in Germany for about one week, one time, 2 weeks another time. So probably about 8 to 12 weeks in the last 5 years in Germany. And so I became a soccer. I mean, I'm one of the guys here. I was a Seahawk fan, I was an American football fan, college football fan, and then when the Sounders, when Drew Carey raised the 12th man flag, it's kind of when I became a soccer fan. Was that night because
Little
my
comment
wife is
on
go
Twitter. Goalkeepers dropping truth bombs on MLS and more on SonarFeed right now.
That's awesome. Who is
That
that
concerns
from?
me.
Winslow T. Hall.
Doesn't always go over well in this town when I do that.
No, I love it. I love it.
It's good to know, though. It really is broadening a lot of our perspective on,
It is.
And
on
there's-
EPL, on local soccer, international. And some of the players that we love, we followed, and it's like, why is he not getting the playing time? What could have been better?
Here's the other thing
knowledgeable.
about the Bundesliga. I think it's going to help MLS, and not just because of the cross-promotion with Fox having the rights. People are going to see these different styles of soccer that are played.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're going to realize, the Premier. A lot of guys who I know at NBC do a fabulous job. Arlo White, Kyle, all the studio guys, Roger Bennett, the production crew, they're all outstanding. I think people are going to watch the Bundesliga and say, hey, this stuff I've heard about the English Premier League, I'm watching it because I'm told it's the greatest league in
Right.
the world. I don't know whether it is, but I'm told it is.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna watch it.
That's what NBC's doing. That's what they're.
That's
everybody's
what the
pushing.
Premier League has done forever.
Yeah.
Everybody always does.
Yep.
And they have the money to do it.
Right. So people are going to say, hey, it's not. And maybe if the invincibility of the Premier League gets pierced, I think people will look at MLS and say, hey, it's not the same, but it's not as far off as I thought it
Yep.
was because people were telling me that the Premier League was the greatest thing. And all of a
Bingo.
sudden I see that maybe it's not.
Bingo. And that's where I was going with my story is that I watched Bundesliga, MLS first, then Bundesliga was my second league before I got to the EPL. And and it was hard to find over here in the States, right?
Right.
It was damn near impossible. Goal TV, like 5 of us got Goal TV. Actually, I did. I don't get Fox Sports 2, but I got that. When what was that group? Cloud TV did the thing last year.
Yeah.
I paid the $8.99 a month to get the
I had
games.
been subscribing to the German satellite. I have Dish Network. I've
Okay.
been subscribing to the German
Yeah.
satellite package until somebody tipped me off about Fubo is the other one that I've subscribed to both of them over time. I go back and forth, and obviously I'm not here to play favorites between the one or the other, but Gold TV was impossible to deal with for a long time.
Yeah.
And, I was always trying to get hold of their PR people to do a story on their lack of carriage, and I never could. And then the streaming thing came along, and and then the Fox deal, which, as I said, people are going to watch the. I know a lot of the games are 6:30 in the morning and stuff like that, but the later games.
Who cares?
That are
They're,
right. But
yeah.
Sure, that's what a DVR is for. You're right.
Yeah.
DVR the games or watch the 9:30 Saturday kickoffs or whatever.
Right.
Give it a try.
Yeah,
See what you think.
absolutely.
If you don't like it, it's fine. That's your personal taste.
Right.
But I think people are going to enjoy it.
Yeah, see, I'm torn now because I have 2 teams in the first division now, which is killing me, right? And they're not even close. Dortmund and FC Colin, because I stayed.
I have one team now.
Yeah, you have one.
Leverkusen.
Yep.
Fine.
Yep.
People are going to give it. I told people, give it time. The Friday game, this past Friday on the, I'll look it up actually on here. I have it here.
It was the Fox. It was on
Fox
like
game this
11,
past Friday.
1:30 or whatever, or 11:30 our
Right.
time. Yeah.
Wolfsburg Schalke.
Yep.
85,000 viewers on Fox Sports 1.
Yeah, 85,000.
Yeah. Which, compared to the Premier League, is not a lot. I would remind people, though, that some of the NBCSN MLS games got about the same number.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was a game. That was a damn good game, though. I enjoyed watching that match Friday. I mean, granted, the outcome.
Heaven forbid that the game should be entertaining.
Right. Exactly.
No, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoyed it. That's awesome. Good. Okay. So, Root has failed with Bundesliga replays 4 times this week. What do you mean? What do you mean, John?
I think.
Because they were supposed to be doing some replays.
Well, okay, because Root is part of the Fox Sports Net
Group.
regional network distribution,
Yeah.
and they
chain.
have the rights to replay some Bundesliga games if they want to. It's up to them.
Yep.
I don't think that Fox sets a time or anything like that.
Okay.
But some of the games that are on Fox Sports 2 and elsewhere, the regional affiliates have the right to replay during the week if they want to.
Yep.
I presume that's what he's referring to. I don't know. I
Yeah.
can't help you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but I'm wondering if he's saying like they had it in the program guide and then didn't actually show it or what. But
That's my guess.
yeah, it does with Root. It really does. So Jonathan and I have had this discussion on Twitter about 8,000 times, and I'm surprised he's never blocked me because we always. But I want more coverage of this, and I want to see more. And so I was thrilled when NBCSN did EPL. Because they have taken, you can watch every single match, right? If you're on streaming,
Yep.
you have it. You can watch every one of them.
But
There's the but.
people love this.
But you can't DVR it,
people
you're right.
love telling me, I hate Fox Soccer Plus because I get all the Premier League games for free. No, you don't. You're paying a lot of money to your cable provider
Absolutely.
for the right to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not paying any more
Right.
than I already am.
But the people who like Fox Soccer to Go, for example,
Yeah.
which is a subscription product,
$99 a
you
year.
don't have to have a cable subscription.
True. Fair.
So you've got these 2 networks that are going down these distinct paths, and I just remind
interesting.
people, some people like the one, and some people like the other. And look, I'm in a position where I make enough in my job, I'm fortunate, that I decide to throw a fairly sizable amount of money at Dish Network so that I can have all this stuff.
Absolutely.
That's my prerogative.
Yep.
I don't presuppose it on anybody else.
Yep.
But I'm a member of our newspaper union's executive board, and we just negotiated raises for my colleagues at Philly.com, which I'm very happy about. A couple of whom are soccer fans. I was joking with them. I just got your raise, go spend some of it. Buy yourself a cable subscription.
That's
a little more
awesome.
soccer. Oh,
Yeah.
looks like LA
Good.
Union took down City Islanders just now in front of
And,
USL.
That is a friendly game that they play
Yeah.
every year.
Nice.
6,500 people.
Last time they're going to play each other because the Union and Harrisburg will not be affiliated starting next year. The Union are launching their own USL team, which will play in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, at Lehigh University, and they're going to have a fan vote, but they are ready to call the team Bethlehem Steel as
Bethlehem
one of
Steel.
the candidates for the name.
That's cool.
And that will be very, very popular, I think.
Yeah, I
with the
think so
fan base
too.
up there.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
It's not right in Philadelphia. Bethlehem's about an hour and a quarter northeast on the highway.
Okay.
But it's where the Eagles had training camp for years and years and years. Everybody knows where it is. There are a lot of soccer fans up there.
Right.
And
Really?
it'll be very successful, I think.
That's awesome.
That's cool, man.
That's really good.
As a person who has big USL ties here, it's cool. It's cool to know that backstory about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right on.
Yeah, we are big supporters of the USL team S2 here on the show. We've had the coach Ezra Hendrickson was on the show. A number of players.
Yep.
Pablito, who I just adore,
Wow.
amazing
What a
guy.
kick, though.
Andy Craven, who sounds like he's back in practice, which is awesome.
Yep.
Dunks, Captain Crunch. So we are big supporters of USL. So I'm
man.
happy to hear that.
I'm a big supporter of the USL I'm, contrary to popular belief, a big supporter of lower division soccer in this country.
Okay.
Some people don't believe me when I say that. They tend to be Cosmos fans.
Yeah. Pro Rel?
You know what? If that's the most controversial question I got asked all night, I won't complain. I'm not against it.
Yeah.
The problem is it's not practical. It's not realistic.
It's not.
There is not enough money in the game now
Right.
for teams to get relegated and be financially sustainable. And Peter Wilt, the general manager of the Indianapolis 11, one of the great people in the modern history of American soccer across the board, has said it the most eloquently. The NASL and in turn the USL have to prove that all of their teams are up to the infrastructure and financial standards that they need to be at in order to make the case. They are not yet.
No. Yeah.
And I know the NASL is suing the U.S. Soccer Federation. That was announced earlier today as we record this on Monday. They want Division I status. They're finally now going for it. They're going to the courts to get it because they believe that the U.S. Soccer Federation is arbitrarily changing the standards to keep them out. Well, they've got to get their own house in order, and I would remind the fans of the NASL out there that the chairman of the board of governors in your league is going to jail.
Wow!
Makes sense.
Because Aaron Davidson
Yeah.
was one of the people who was indicted by the FBI in the CONCACAF scandal. And as the New York Times reported, and others of us have reported in the past, even though Traffic is trying to sell the Carolina Railhawks, they still have an equity stake in the league that they have not divested themselves of.
Right. They haven't divested it?
At all?
They still, the entity Traffic Sports still exists.
Oh, my
Wow.
God.
It hasn't been wound down yet completely.
But they are in the process of winding it down, right?
I believe so.
In
They
theory?
have to
I think
be.
so,
Yeah,
right?
right, yeah.
But the
Yeah.
a lot of people have said to me, "Oh, the NASL will be fine once Traffic goes away."
Right.
I don't think that the two of them. I don't think that the one can exist without the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because Traffic and Aaron Davidson created the NASL by splitting the USL in half back in the day,
Right.
as you guys know well,
Oh,
because
yeah.
the Sounders
Yep.
were part of it.
Yep.
By splitting off the owners who wanted to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Traffic's baby. It always has been. And it's the same Traffic. I don't know how many of your listeners know this, so I'm saying it now. It's the same Traffic that for years, in addition to owning teams, ran a player agency and signed American players and moved those players between the teams that it owned at will.
Absolutely.
Greg Garza was one. Gail Agbasuman was another.
Yep.
And if any of you out there from 1990, I don't know what, until the World Cup qualifier at Guatemala in 2012, ever tried to watch a U.S. national team World Cup qualifier on the road, and you had to get it on pay-per-view,
Yep.
Traffic Sports was responsible
That's right.
for that.
Yep.
Because they ran all the marketing rights for every home nation in CONCACAF owns its own television rights for its World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah.
All of them except Mexico gave them to Traffic.
Yep.
And Traffic would ransom them to the American TV networks.
That's right.
And the American TV networks, I think rightly, were not willing to pay.
I agree.
Wow,
Yeah.
dude. Knowledge.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, that
that's
was
crazy.
Because,
No
I bet you
wonder
about
it
Fox.
wasn't-
Yeah.
No, go ahead. I
No,
mean,
no, go ahead.
To
No,
me,
go
it's just like, no wonder it was so hard to, growing up here, I was like,
Same company.
dude,
Yep.
I was like,
Yep.
luckily I had Univision, growing up, so, and I was following a different team, of course.
Yeah.
But still. it
Which
was
team
like,
were you following?
The
The
one that
Dos
had seven
Acero?
Gold Cups.
Ah.
But when Telemundo has all the Mexico road games, they were doing the deals with Traffic to make sure they got them.
Ah, okay, they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That makes a lot of sense now, like why it was, we were
Well,
wondering how come the
people
men's use national
people
was
need
not
to
on TV as much.
understand that, and they need to understand that those of us who are coming across as being against the NASL, are not against individual teams, are not against having a thriving and healthy second division. It is that we can't judge it fairly because of Traffic's involved.
Right.
Right.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway,
No, it's
Talk
great.
about other things.
No, that's great. Juan Valdez in the chat room here goes, "This is before my time. I love it. Good stuff." This is what we love about having folks like yourself on.
Well,
is that we're not going to really even chat about we'll chat about the game maybe not this much, but it's really about all the other knowledge drop that happens because there's a million other podcasts and everything that talks about this and that. We like to be random and just kind of do whatever it takes to get things done. I love it.
I do enjoy being able to explain to folks who are new to this.
Yep.
And I don't think it's any controversial for me to say there are a lot of such people in Seattle.
Absolutely.
That's perfectly fine.
It is.
Yep.
It's great that the sport has grown in the way that it has, that the crowds are as they are. I have said a lot of times, and I do believe, that not every person of the 40,000 who go to CenturyLink Field every week is in that core fan base that knows everything about the team's history and every player who plays on S2 and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
And as they learn and as they come to understand, I enjoy engaging with people and teaching them that so that they have a better understanding of how things got to be as they are now
Today.
and that they were not always so.
So that's a great segue.
I'll let you take it because
This is where I'm going to get in trouble.
You are.
Okay.
I'm setting you up here. You put it on. You
This is
put the
where I
ball on
always
the
get in
tee.
trouble.
Dude,
Every time I come to Seattle, this happens.
I could see his.
Every time I come to
his
Seattle,
head
this
spinning
happens.
right now.
My good friends Jeremiah Oshan and Dave Clark, who are out there listening somewhere.
Yep.
I have had enormous arguments with them and others over the years about this. So let's just get it over with.
Yeah. So, as a self-admitted non-historic fan of the Sounders and their USL and NASL and all the old days guy, I now understand the history because whenever I do something, I take and make it my goal to learn about the history of it because that's just who I am. And scarily enough, my kids are both getting that habit, which I'm actually happy about.
And Seattle has, I should say, one of the great soccer historians in all of America, and Frank McDonald.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Frank.
If those of you who are listening out there are not following him, his Twitter
Follow
handle
him.
is Frank M. Sounders. He is a tremendous resource on the Sounders, on the Cascadia as a whole.
Yes.
He has helped me out a lot over years with research that I've done.
Yes.
I keep a spreadsheet on my computer with historical results of a lot of different rivalries around Major League Soccer, and he helped me compile the historical stuff with Seattle and Portland and Vancouver, so I'm very thankful to him. Now, anyway, I've filibustered long enough.
He is Frank. I agree. Frank is a fantastic follow, and he actually a lot of his articles will end up on Sounder at Heart.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. So, as a professed lack of a history, when I started following you on Twitter, and partly I followed you because of Michael Hadley, right, and which you know very well.
I know him. I've met him in person many times. He and I this is a great story. He and I, and Kenny Ocker of the Tacoma News Tribune, who's a copy editor down there, and somebody who you all know very well, Matt Pence,
Yeah.
the Sounders beat writer for the Seattle Times. Yeah. We're all part of a college basketball website, community, message board, and other things for about a decade called the Mid-Majority. And another guy who some of the listeners might know out there who was very involved in it, if you know Seth Hunt down in Portland, he was also very involved in it too. Run by a guy who was a University of Oregon graduate who moved to Philadelphia named Kyle Welliston. As he rose to fame, he wrote for ESPN and SI and a couple of other places for a while, but he always maintained this website called the Mid-Majority, in which he chronicled his travels across the country covering the college basketball programs that were not always in the spotlight, not always in the power conferences. And that's how I met Michael. In person many times, and if he's out there listening, I don't know, he's going to start tweeting up a storm at me if he is.
Yeah, he's not yet, but he'll watch the
he'll
replay
show
probably.
up at some point.
Yep.
He's in the middle. He used to live for a while in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, so I could find him.
Yep.
He's now gone back in the middle of nowhere, Indiana, so I don't know where he is.
Yep. Poor guy. You know,
He's in the forest. He's driving his Scion cars around in the forest.
Exactly. Yep. Michael, we love Michael. He's part of Team No Pants. I met him. I think the first time I ever met him in person. Was Kansas City. Was the Kansas City U.S. Open Cup, where we left our convertible top down when it rained for about an hour and a half.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, it was a bad idea.
Don't do
anyway,
that.
so my point to this whole thing to set up was, I followed you early on,
Right.
and as a newbie, I ask stupid questions because that's just who I am.
Right.
And you are known to kind of poke at some people and do some things, but you have always been.
There's a reason why. Go ahead.
I'll let you answer the reason why.
No.
You've always been extremely. You talk through a situation without being condescending, which is really hard for people from the East Coast to do. No offense to some East Coast folks.
Well, you know,
we just go passive aggressive out here.
It's easier. It's easier to be blunt.
We're really good at that.
It's easier for me to be blunt than to be passive aggressive.
Right. And out here, it's easier for people to be passive aggressive
right,
than it is to be blunt.
Right.
So completely opposite. So
Right.
to watch you and how you do it.
I got subtweeted once. That caused by some people. That caused some problems with that whole. That was sort of the passive.
You only got
aggressiveness to me.
subtweeted once?
Dave
No,
Clark
well,
says,
sort of famously.
Dave Clark says he's watching from home right now.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Hi, Dave.
Yeah. But anyways, I appreciated the fact that you always were willing to talk to somebody who didn't necessarily have the knowledge, and I would ask you questions about whether it's Comcast or the traffic thing.
Right.
We've talked about a lot of those things. So I'm a fan because of that, because you actually talked through it, and your answers I didn't always like, but you gave me the right answer, the real answer, the answer that needed to be said.
My job, unfortunately,
So thank you
is not to tell people what they want to hear. But if I'm going to make an argument for something that I believe in, whether or not you end up disagreeing with the conclusion, I would rather you not disagree with the facts that I use to make it.
Right.
And I've done that a few times in this town. So ask the question.
So people know that that's why I am. But so, where have you gotten in trouble? Why do you think that some people? Do you think
Mr.
people
Clark,
don't?
how have I gotten in trouble?
I
Mr.
wish
Clark's
David joined us.
predecessor, how have I gotten in trouble?
Yeah. Come on, Dave. Answer the question.
So this is what it is. I have many times over the years said to my friends in Seattle and to some of my non-friends in Seattle, do not take what you have for granted.
Okay.
The scale of the Sounders fan base, the resonance of the Sounders in this market, the caliber of players with the resources that you're able to sign, the quality of the venue that you have, the location within the city of the venue.
Right.
All of these things. Because it's not that way in a lot of other places, including Philadelphia, where I work.
Yep.
Where I fight tooth and nail every day to get just a scrap of soccer coverage in the Inquirer. Where I spent months lobbying them to let me write a story about the history of the U.S. Open Cup in Philadelphia before the final when the Sounders came to town.
Months.
Who won that game?
Where I spent 8 months lobbying them to let me go to the Women's World Cup. It's not my business as to who won.
Yeah.
I'm not a Union fan. So.
No, I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
The World Cup obviously was a little different because there was a lot of money involved for my company. But
right.
Convincing them on a daily basis, as people do in New York and in Dallas and in Colorado and in Washington and in Boston and Chicago and in San Jose and in lots of other places around the country.
Okay.
To give soccer the time that the core fan bases in those markets deserve. It's not like this everywhere else.
Right.
And you guys who travel with the Sounders, you see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know it.
Yeah.
And I also know from the studying that I have done of the history of the sport in this city that it has not always been this way here.
Correct.
And it leads me to conclude, look, I hope it is always this way. For all of us. I hope that in Philadelphia and Chicago and all those other places, that the MLS teams gain the kind of resonance that they have here. It leads me to conclude, though, that it might not always be this way.
Yeah.
And as I said, I hope it is.
Right.
I hope it is always this way. And I hope that all these other markets get to that point.
Yep.
But they are not there. And I know how hard the Sounders work. They work just as hard as the Seahawks and the Mariners and the Eagles in Philadelphia and the Cubs in Chicago. And,
you want another beer? Or are you good?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay.
They work just as hard as all the other big teams do in all the other big cities. The Capitals in Washington, where I grew up, and I'm a fan of them. I have been my whole life. It takes a lot of hard work to build up that fan base and maintain it. And the good work that people like Matt Gasker, we all know and are all dear friends with, that he did when he was here,
Yep.
with the Post-Intelligencer and then with the Sounders when people weren't paying attention.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen.
Yep.
And that's what has gotten me in trouble over the years. With people who've asked me, well, what do you mean don't take it for granted?
That's what got you in trouble?
Yes.
Are you
I
kidding
didn't know
me?
that, man.
That's it?
Yeah. When I've gone to people and say, don't take what you have for granted.
I would have thought it was.
There's other things that have gotten me in trouble, too.
Well, sure. But that's the big
that are
one.
not related to this. But that, a lot of times I've left Seattle, and the last tweet before I get on the plane is, don't take what you have for granted.
So,
And people would say to me, what do you mean by that? Well, now I've just told you really what I mean.
that's beautiful.
No,
That's a great
dude.
answer.
So I definitely came on board more after 2009. I'm not gonna lie.
Which is wonderful.
You know,
I'm all in
It doesn't
favor of it.
matter.
I know it doesn't.
Right. It doesn't matter.
And I'm not as knowledgeable about the history as probably a lot of other people, but I have a connection with the team that I remember in the late 90s. I was working at a family restaurant right by the Key Arena, and we had the Sounders. The restaurant sponsored the Sounders back then. This is the late 90s. And the players would come after the games, and it would get super packed, and we'd have, basically at that time, it would be the equivalent of the supporters.
Yep.
Come to the restaurant, hang out with the players, eat, drink, and do all that. So I've always known of the history of the Sounders, and from that perspective, from 1997, 98. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know of the 70s, how big we were back then. But as I've gotten more and more involved, I don't take it for granted. I like I told you on the way here, like I struggle to convince my football tailgating buddies to go to games with me. They just will not go to a game with me. But they make fun of the sport. I'm like, God, dude, killing me.
I come here, and I will say also, by the way, I've said a lot of this stuff in Portland and Vancouver, too.
Yep.
And Portland, as much as I know you guys hate it, and I understand why, is a very special place in American soccer history.
Portland?
Yes.
Yes.
And the way that they have cultivated.
Oh, yeah.
We just lost all the viewers.
I know. Fine.
No, you're good.
The way that they have cultivated that history over the years
Yes.
is something that very few other cities in North America,
Yep.
except maybe Seattle, Vancouver, Montreal, and one or two others, are able to do.
Yep.
Thank you.
I've sort of.
Not us.
I think there are some folks there who get it and some who don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's some in Vancouver. I think a lot of people in Vancouver get it.
Yep.
Because of how the Whitecaps went quiet for a time.
Yep.
And there are some who don't.
Yep.
I never have any problem with new fans coming into the league.
Right.
We, myself included, in Philadelphia and here and everywhere else, are still a small community within the greater landscape of American sports. And I am
Absolutely.
reminded of that every day when I go to work.
Yep.
And I have one of my dear colleagues, Tim Reardon, is a diehard Sounders fan whose family is from here. He comes out here once or twice a year to go to Sounders games.
Yep.
It's awesome. Shout out to Tim out in Philly, man, if you ever watch.
His Twitter handle, I'm going to pull it up so you all can go follow him.
While you're doing that, I'm going to say my hatred of Portland, I was talking about this yesterday, obviously, with them in town. 99.9% of my hatred of Portland has to do with their owner. If you put a different owner in there, my hatred of Portland would drop substantially.
First of all, Tim's handle is TJ_Reardon, REARDON. Go follow him.
TJ_Dearden.
Reardon, REARDON.
Trust me, and I know. I love it.
The other thing is, I understand why you hate Merritt.
That's him right there.
Yes.
It's his daddy.
I understand why you hate Merritt.
Yep.
You're entitled to.
Yep.
There's a lot of other fan bases in this league that would take Merritt Paulson to have their owner in a heartbeat.
Oh, absolutely they would.
Oh, yeah.
100% all day long.
Anyway. Hi.
Right there?
Yes, that's it.
He's going to be like, why did I all of a sudden get all these Seattle fans following
I'll
me?
tell him when I get back to the office because I'm bringing back some stuff he asked me to buy.
Oh, nice. That was for him. Nice. Very good.
Yeah, that's it.
Anyway, but that's we still will. We always need new fans to come.
Yes.
And, I picked up the Seattle Times every day that I've been here, like the good newspaper journalist that I am.
Absolutely.
And I know Matt Pence fights every day to get space for the Sounders in the paper.
Yep.
And I know Mike Gastineau, when he was on the radio, fought every day to get time and space for the Sounders on the radio. Even here in Seattle, as you said, not everybody's, they pay attention. No. But the Seahawks are still
they're
the
big
show
boys.
in town.
Yeah.
And I would venture that UW football is still the big show in town.
It is.
Especially this time of year.
That's right. And even the Mariners, even though they're terrible, still draw more.
When Gastineau wrote his book, I did a long interview with him. It was excerpted in Howler. I ran the whole thing on my website, and it was really revealing to me. And I think he knew that I was going to ask him some hard questions, and he enjoyed having the opportunity to answer them.
Mm-hmm.
One of the questions that I asked him was, if when the Sounders came in, the Mariners were as good as they were at their peak, what would have happened? We will never know.
Yep.
We will never know.
No. Nope. But it would have changed things.
It definitely would have.
If the Sonics weren't here, if the Sonics were playing,
sure,
it would have changed everything. There were a lot of people with a lot of freedom for financially and time-wise.
And they'd be getting probably 20 to 25,000 a game, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Would they be getting 40 to 45? I don't know.
I don't know either.
And if they were getting 20 to 25, would they be playing in CenturyLink Field, or would they be playing in their own place?
They'd be playing in their own place, probably.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic. I mean, and we talked to Gas about that when he was on the show, and his book was fantastic.
Yes.
I really loved his book. Oh my God,
It
was so amazing.
It really did a lot of what you're doing right now. It helped us spread the history to a lot of fans that are hardcore fans that didn't know the history of the Sounders saving the stadium, saving basically the Seahawks. And I tell my hardcore tailgating buddies, like, dude, if it weren't for the Sounders, we wouldn't have had that Super Bowl here, man.
And I was at Memorial on Saturday night for the rain game.
Oh yeah,
love that place. I love
me too.
old Haunt. Like
were you up in the press box?
I was up in the press box.
Oh my God,
yeah,
I love
the bunker.
Well,
that bunker.
People were saying, isn't that press box the scariest one you've ever been?
No.
I've been in older stadiums than that have worse press boxes, so no.
I love that press box.
I love that
cool,
stadium.
man.
You can feel the history as soon as you walk in there.
Oh, yeah.
And, there's places that I go, Franklin Field in Philadelphia, where my alma mater plays football, Nickerson Field in Boston, where the Breakers used to play, and Memorial, and Kezar Stadium in San Francisco is another one.
Yeah, Kezar, that's where we started. That was the start of this show.
This show was there.
I look at some of these places, and you just say, what if?
Yeah, I agree.
And it's never possible. It's never feasible.
Nope, I agree.
But that's what it is. And that's what I got in trouble with a lot of people for.
That's good. So Dave says, he writes here in the chat room, he said, Jonathan's and my issues are long past that. And I asked him, are you guys besties now? And he says, we were until you didn't invite me on an all-day ferry ride. So now that you didn't, now your battle's back. Because I
did tweet about it while I was here. I didn't get any response, but I apologize.
Yeah, I think Dave was working today anyway, so it's okay.
Kenny got the day off, and Matt was with us in the morning. Kenny Ocker came with me, and Matt Pence was with us in the morning. My goal today, I'm a big fan of boats in the nautical realm and stuff like that, and my two pastimes when I come to Seattle are to eat a lot of food at Ivar's and to spend as much time as I can out on that water, on the ferries that go across the Sound to Bremer and Bainbridge Island and Vashon Island and elsewhere. So Kenny and I hatched a plan a while back, and I pitched it to Kenny and Matt, and they were in, to try to hit all the water taxis and all the ferries in the city in one day.
One day.
So Kenny and I were up at 3:45 this morning, making our way over to Pier 50. We took the
4:45? You didn't tell me that,
well, here's
man.
why. We took the
Oh my God!
Because you got to hit them all. Yeah. So the one you have to be on is the 5:30 water taxi to Vashon Island. That's the first one in the morning.
Oh my
wow,
God.
dude, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I didn't know that
is
either.
Crazy.
So, but the reward for doing it is you get to see the sunrise over the skyline. And I'm a morning shift guy. Kenny is a little more of one than he used to be. Matt is by whatever the rhythms or whatever he has to cover. So I'm used to getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning now. I don't mind it. It's a wonderful sight to be out on the water. You're going out there. You're surrounded by the islands and all the houses and stuff like that, and you're watching the sun come up. It's a treat. If any of you folks out there are able to roust yourself for that hour of the morning,
I want to do this.
Yeah, dude.
We're gonna have to do this one day.
Take someone from Philly to come and
paint
that image for us, man.
It is not easy, I will grant you, to get up that early in the morning.
No.
But it is worth doing if you have the opportunity.
Well, I've got kids, so I'm up that early. That's why I love the 6:30 start for the Bundesliga, because I can get up. My kids are up, so I'm up.
The good thing you missed the windy day.
Yeah. You were here.
I did not. I will, for the record, I don't mind getting out on boats and weather like that. I was over at Pike Place. I was like, I'd jump on the ferry over to West Seattle, just went over and back just to ride it a little bit. I loved it.
That's
Some
awesome.
people don't.
Yeah.
I do. I don't mind. I was at a sailing camp in North Carolina for 7 years as a kid, and that's where
Oh,
I
wow.
sort of learned to love being out on the water.
Okay.
So
Well,
That makes
you'll
sense.
never yacht alone when you're here, man.
Yeah, that's right.
that's what I've heard, yeah.
Well, I want to give a cheers. Do you have anything left over there? You have a little bit
Little
left?
bit.
Cheers
Thank
to joining us today. We're not
Thank
done
you.
yet, but thank you. That's awesome. That is
I'm
great
here
news.
the weekend that I'm here in November is the weekend of the first leg of the Western Conference Finals.
Ooh.
So,
L.A. versus Seattle.
well, here's my odds.
Yeah.
My odds are
We would be
at
we
the
would be
moment
home.
my odds are 3-6
3 and 6.
because
Yeah.
I'm probably going to fly in and out of here.
Yep.
But the question will be if that game's in Portland or Vancouver.
Yep.
Can I rearrange my flights and whatever else to pull it off?
Yeah.
You could always join one of the supporter buses, the water bus.
It's more. As I get there easily enough on the train or whatever. That's
Yeah.
the easy part. It's the convincing United Airlines to let me fly back from wherever I am that's going to be the problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because now, especially now, 5 years ago it was a little different.
Yeah.
Now they've gotten real strict.
We'll
Very
see.
strict. So, if anybody here in the audience listening, or if you guys have any questions for Jonathan, let us know. We're about an hour in, believe it or not, already.
Yeah,
Are
I've
you
noticed.
okay? Are you okay for a few more minutes?
I'm okay. Yeah. I'm
about
good.
15 more minutes, maybe,
I
give
do
or take.
soccer morning a lot. I'm used to yammering.
Okay, good.
All
good.
right.
I want to keep you going for a little bit here.
Tim just
but,
got a follow, so he watched, or at least he got the photo of you and the selfie.
Nice. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, Grandma has a question. Yep, Grandma.
Part of the reason why some people don't watch soccer and don't listen to soccer is because in the past, American announcers have been boring. Absolutely boring.
I'm doing my part.
If you listen to the English, if you listen to the EPL and everything, the announcers make the game more exciting. There are a few announcers.
I dispute that, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Americans are used to excitement, and the announcers can bring excitement to the games, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they really don't. And
Well, I agree with you in part. There are some English announcers who I think are just completely over the top, full of themselves, who I can't stand.
Absolutely.
One of the greatest things about Arlo White is that in addition to his natural understanding of the game, which we have only started to develop in guys like John Strong in the last 5 to 10 years.
Yep.
Because Arlo spent some time in America in the 80s, he knew how
Yep.
to strike the right tone, use the right turns of phrase and metaphors and things like that to bring it to an American audience.
That's right.
For a while, J.P. Dellacamera and Bob Lee were the only people who really understood naturally the rhythms of the sport.
That's right.
Now there are more of them. A new generation is coming, and they're getting there. I understand why people think they're boring. But I also would say that a lot of them have taken the time to learn and understand the sport, and the American shouters who have done it, Jack Edwards and Dave O'Brien in particular, were awful.
Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah.
Because they were brought in to provide that sense, and it didn't work.
Nope. And I would argue Gus Johnson, for me, falls into that category.
I'm not going to put Gus in that category.
Okay, maybe not quite that category, but he was that middle.
Here's why. I know him a little bit. I talked to him
Okay.
about his work. He really made a sincere and honest effort
Correct.
to try to learn the nuances of the sport. Ultimately, he knew he couldn't do it, and he had too much else on his plate.
Yep.
I have a lot of respect for him for the way he went about trying to learn and then acknowledging that it wasn't going to work.
Yep. I will agree with that. I was not a fan because I'm not a fan of his calls in any sport he's ever done.
I love his college basketball and football. And the guy he works with, Bill Raftery, on calling Big East games, is a guy who I know and love. I think they're fabulous. It just wasn't quite going to get there. But the American talent is coming, but just as it takes time to develop American players, it takes time to develop American broadcasters. And to your point about American broadcasters lacking excitement, I look at Vince Scully, Dave Niehaus, Bob Costas, Joe Buck, even Brent Musburger, who's renowned for being over the top at the right times, but silent at the right times. The value of silence has long been held as a virtue in American broadcasting, and that nuance is hard to come by in American soccer, but there are guys who understand now.
And Arlo had that.
Yeah.
Arlo still has that.
Yeah.
Yes. And Adrian Healy, who's lived in the United States for many, many years.
Yep. Adrian does a good job. Who's the guy who does? I'm sorry. Who's the guy who does the Bundesliga on Fox right now? He's doing the single commentary. What's that dude's name?
Bundesliga provides their own commentators.
Oh, they are
for the games themselves.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Joe Tolleson, who does New York City FC, has been doing soccer play-by-play for a long time. I remember watching him call U.S. World Cup qualifiers on pay-per-view in the early 2000s. Mark Rogandino of Fox has been doing it for a long time. Dave Johnson in Washington has been doing it for a long time.
Okay.
There's plenty of guys, but it.
But I'm talking about the casual fan, not the fan of us that know the sport.
So
not
she
the
mentioned
fan of us that know the sport, but the casual fan that is looking on and say, "What is this all about?" You know, and
right. But they aren't all Ian Dark and they aren't all Arlo White. There's plenty of announcers who do the Premier League games. Peter Jury's one who I really cannot stand. Martin Tyler is not a shouter, and he's regarded as the dean of all of them. I understand your point, but I think it's more to understanding the rhythms and the nuance of the sport than the decibel level per se.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't mean actually the decibel level. I meant just even the way that they were calling the sport itself. I mean, I'm from Boston. You know, I have a big argument with my brother.
I love that accent. You finally came out of it.
Well,
It's been a while since I've heard one of those. I've been out of the East Coast for a bit.
But my brother all the time says, "Why do you like that sport? You just," I mean, he and I, when he was growing up, I was his mentor, and I mean, we watched hockey together, we watched football together, we watched basketball together and everything. I couldn't get him, and I can't even to this day get him to watch a soccer game without him making
fun. No, he's a hockey fan, and he learned to watch the game on television or by going to the Garden?
By going to the Garden.
Aha.
And listening to Johnny Cusack on the radio.
Yes, well, who's terrific.
Yeah.
But I have never tried, in all the years I've been a soccer fan, save possibly for the World Cup, which is on a scale of its own, to convince somebody to become a soccer fan by sitting them down in front of a television. And hockey is the exact same way.
Yeah.
You can't learn it by watching it on TV.
Yeah.
And Jack Edwards was a hockey announcer before he was a soccer announcer. And they dropped him into soccer, and it didn't work. Probably the biggest flop ESPN's done in terms of soccer coverage, even more than Dave O'Brien, was Jack Edwards in 2002. I still to this day cannot watch Bruins games that he's calling on this. I have the NHL package. I watch the other feed. But soccer, if you take him to a game, it's different. And as I said,
it's an easier sell.
Soccer is not a sport that you can learn by watching on television. Same with baseball, you can.
Yeah.
Football obviously is designed for it.
Yep.
Basketball, you can. But hockey and soccer
no.
are sports you learn by watching in person.
I did. I have like 6 or 7 hardcore tailgating buddies. One of them we converted. He now joins my brother, and he's
Carl.
Yep, Hot Carl. He joins my brother. He's like season tickets, and he's joined us in the supporter section. Yep. And another one has actually gone to maybe 3 or 4 matches. But you're absolutely right. It's something that you have to take somebody to. It's not you cannot watch. You turn a fan into by watching.
Going to a Revolution game is, in the past 2 years, yes, but before that, there's no ambiance there.
And we were talking earlier about the differences between Seattle and elsewhere.
Yep.
When, and I hope it's a when and not an if, the Revs get that stadium near South Station.
Yep.
People's perceptions of Boston are going to be so radically transformed.
Oh my God, yes.
As to what a soccer market that can be.
Yep.
And the numbers of people who want to support that team.
Yep.
But the only way they're going to do it is if they can get on the team.
Right. Foxborough is not easy to get to.
It's a nightmare.
It's terrible.
They only run the train service for the Revs games.
Right.
Or for the Patriots
games, yeah.
And the Revs fans have been complaining forever and ever.
Yep.
Even when the U.S. national team plays and there's 50,000 people there, they still don't run the
Are
train.
you
Don't?
serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's insane. All right.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree. I grew up in Michigan, so I'm also a hockey fan growing up. And when I watch hockey, when I started watching soccer for real, to me I was like, oh, it's very similar. There's a lot of, it's totally different because they're on ice and everything, but I find a lot of similarities to it. And I fell in love with it immediately.
You walk around Cambridge on the weekends in the neighborhoods of all the diversity there is there.
Yep.
You go to the North End on a Sunday afternoon, which I love to do when I have relatives in Boston. I go there.
As I was growing up, there's this big park in the middle of South Boston. And when I was 8-10 years old, I said, what's that? What are they playing over there? What are they doing? And it was Irish teams playing out in the middle of the field, and it was soccer.
Yeah.
And there's a big history of ethnic groups playing soccer in Boston. If they can put that in South Boston, if they can put that stadium where they said that they're going to put it, you can almost walk to the stadium from any place.
Sure, I have. I've done it. The World Cup viewing parties that they've had at Government Center, right in the plaza, right in the middle of downtown Boston.
Yep.
Men's and women's, by the way, not just the men, have drawn thousands of people. And that's one of those places where if all you do from afar is watch the Revs games on TV, you don't get the sense of it, and then you go there and you walk around. I always go on the Sundays when I'm there for the weekend to visit my family. I'm Jewish, and they live in Cambridge, but I take the T over to Faneuil Hall and Quincy Market, get lunch, walk over to Cafe dello Sport in the North End, and watch Milan for a couple hours.
That's awesome.
It's lovely.
Yeah. I love it. All right, so Dave has a question here. Dave would like, and I know Lisa does as well after that. So how will the Habs loosen the salary reins next offseason?
False question.
False question. Is it because I said it was from Dave?
No. It's the next off season. I think that's a little too soon.
Okay.
But I do think that in the course of this CBA, as the new teams come in, as more pressure comes from the owners who want to spend more money, as some of the television revenue domestically and internationally comes in,
yep,
I think we will see a perhaps a one-time but more substantial than what's outlined in the CBA raising of the salary cap.
Okay, gotcha.
And
but a couple
like
years
exceptions.
Though.
I think we're talking 2 or 3 years from now and not one.
Like 17, 18
Yes.
kind of thing. Yeah, okay.
Because, and this is what I've been waiting for a long, long time in Major League Soccer, where we know in hockey and basketball and football and baseball, the owners know it is in their interest to spend more money because it gets them better players. Now Major League Soccer is getting there. And it's high time. It's been high time for a while. But there are owners that have the resources to do it. And that's how the dynamic changes. You win the battle on their terms.
Yep.
I had a lot of people during the CBA negotiations from across North America coming to me and say, the players deserve more money. They should strike. They should this and that and the other thing. That's not how collective bargaining works. I know this having been involved in it with my own newspaper union, even this year. That's not how it works. You give and you take, and you give and you take. You prioritize some things over some other things. I noticed that the players got guaranteed contracts for the first time in Major League Soccer's 20-year history. That's the sort of thing where you give on what the salary cap is going to be in order to get that.
Right.
And you don't just pound your fist on the table and say, if I don't get what I want, I'm going to strike. It's very easy to be in favor. I've said this many times over the last year. It's very easy to be in favor of a strike when you're a spectator sitting on the sidelines. When you're the one who's thinking about whether you're going to give up your salary for a couple of weeks or whatever it is, it's rather difficult.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a great answer though, because it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
It is.
All right, Lisa, you have a question? Uh-oh.
Oh.
No, just wondering how this will go over. What's your opinion of MLS reffing and the quality?
Ooh, quality of MLS reffing.
And before you answer, I want to say I'm a fucking moron, and I normally we go relatively PG 13-ish. I'm a moron.
I'm from Philadelphia, so I'm from the East Coast. So
yeah, okay. So the name of the ref yesterday was Alan Kelly, correct?
Somebody kept saying Chris Penso. I forgot who it was.
It wasn't Penso.
Right. Somebody was writing that it was Chris Penso.
Oh, no, it was Alan Kelly.
Alan Kelly, yeah.
Yeah, I was calling him Alan Chapman the whole goddamn game.
Dear.
I'm a freaking moron. I was like, I got home and I'm like, what is wrong with me? That was. Anyway,
so here's my
I
view
had to
of
admit
the
that.
quality of the refereeing in Major League Soccer. I don't dispute that it has problems, and I don't think that MLS would either. But I also believe that they are the best referees that we have in the United States and Canada. Does that mean that they're objectively great? No. But I'm not in favor of parachuting referees in from another country to fix the problem on a temporary basis, because we also have to develop referees in the United States and Canada.
Yep.
And if we're parachuting refs in from abroad,
Like Kelly.
that's not going to help. That's not going to help
No.
develop the American referees.
No.
And also, by the way, everybody in England hates the referees over there.
Absolutely.
And everybody in Mexico hates the referees
Absolutely.
over there. And everybody in Germany and Argentina, wherever, they all hate the refs.
In Mexico, we didn't hit the refs in the. No, too soon.
Yeah.
Too soon. Too soon.
Oh, you mean when you stole? Oh, that was Geiger.
No,
that
when
was
you won
Geiger.
7.
Let me clarify. In the Mexican League, they hate the refs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Um,
God.
We love Geiger, though.
The game
Say
is
Geiger.
too fast and too skilled and too strong for it to be refereed the way that FIFA mandates that it is refereed now.
Agreed.
Whether that means referees on the goal line or refereeing each half of the field so that the one referee doesn't have to be running all over the place. FIFA has always said we cannot have referees in each half of the field because they might disagree. To which my response is, if you're refereeing a professional game, you're smart enough to stand there with the other guy, say, what did you see? Here's what I saw. Here's what you saw. We're going to make a decision and call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It won't take you more than a minute.
Right.
10 seconds.
The other 30
We
seconds.
don't need to be video replaying everything up the hilt in real time
no.
because it destroys the flow of the
Yes, and that we want to keep.
game. People have asked me over the years, should there be goal line technology in Major League Soccer? I know MLS wants it, but I can also tell you, it costs an enormous amount of money. And it's not a coincidence that it's only a very small of the number of the wealthiest leagues in Europe that can afford it right now. In time, I'm sure that it will be here and everywhere else. But I don't, for the amounts of money that we're talking, millions of dollars.
Wow. I did not know it was that expensive.
To equip every stadium and every net and everything else.
That makes sense.
I don't blame MLS for not wanting to spend that money at this time because I know that down the road they want to.
Absolutely. I would like to see the dual refs or some change, though, personally. I think it would make such a big difference.
I think it definitely would help a lot.
Yep. Because it's hard. I mean, again, Kelly was equally bad as if you were for both sides yesterday. I don't think it was the worst called game ever.
I agree.
But there was a lot of, like, what the hell kind of moments there. And you said, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said on Twitter that you did not think it was a penalty.
And, there was some interpretations of the law by Kelly himself, who spoke with Tim Booth, the Associated
Afterwards,
Press.
yep.
I'm glad he did.
Me too. Which that should be mandated. I mean, they should always.
The pool reporter at every MLS stadium has the right to ask the referee 3 questions. We don't always need to exercise it.
No, of course not.
But I'm glad that it happened yesterday, and the Sounders PR staff was kind enough to distribute those quotes to all of the media that were there.
Yep.
I'm certainly in favor of being able to ask the referee more questions. That's way above my pay grade to fight because it's ultimately a FIFA thing.
It is, yeah.
I can understand why it was. I think Siggy actually had, in remarks that he gave today. Monday,
Yep.
maybe the best explanation. It would have been given in the past as an indirect free kick within the box.
That's right.
Because if it's a penalty, it's a red card.
That's right.
And if it's, I didn't really think, if by the letter of the law it's a penalty, it's a red card.
Mm-hmm.
If the referee is trying to judge intent, I don't know. It sure seemed to me like, and the basketball rule doesn't apply here, obviously.
Right.
But in basketball, that's a charge on Martins.
Exactly. Yep, it is.
Because Quarcy couldn't do a thing about it.
No. But his feet were moving, so technically he would have drawn the charge.
Yes.
Right.
If the defender is moving in basketball, it's a block.
Right.
If the defender is absolutely with his feet planted
Yep.
and the ball handler goes into him, it's a charge.
Yep.
By the basketball language, yesterday that's a charge on Martins.
Yep.
I can understand why it's a penalty. I can understand why maybe it's not because Quarcy's not fouling it.
Right.
I think Ziggy probably was right that an indirect free kick might have been the right call. Nobody
Absolutely.
gives it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Other than the USL against us, against RSL.
Yeah.
I've seen indirect free kicks given for things in the Union games.
Right.
I've seen in MLS League games. I have seen them in PPL Park.
Right.
Oh, wow.
They are rare, maybe more rare than they should be.
I agreed. Yep.
Sense.
That's a good question, though, because it's something we talk about a lot.
Oh, dude.
I mean, fans in general talk a lot about the referees. So I want to go back real quick, and I don't know if you guys have any last questions. We'll wrap up here in just a few minutes. But I want to go back to your troubled times, so to speak. And you look at yesterday's game, and you talk about how good we have it, how awesome it is. If we had lost that game yesterday, or even had a draw, I think we probably would have burned CenturyLink to the ground. I mean, not really.
I don't.
But
almost.
Twitter was damn close to it. They were ready. They were
there
ready.
was- yeah.
People had their tweets ready to go and their false anger. But if we don't make the playoffs this year, it'll be a very interesting. Because right now we're on the line, and it would be the first time in MLS history that we would not make the playoffs and not get a cup of some sort or do something.
And there would be plenty of other fans around MLS who would be pleased to see the Sounders fans have something.
Oh
to
my
think
God,
about
they would love it. They would
Haters.
Well, no, yes, I understand that, and you're not necessarily wrong, but again, to think about how good you've had it. And I think Brad Evans spoke very eloquently after the game yesterday.
Yes, he did.
About this and how this is the first time that the Sounders have really been involved in a playoff race in a situation like this.
That's right.
And let me see if I can get the quotes up here from him yesterday about it being, here we go, a sprint.
There we go.
There's not a lot of. I asked him, is it a sprint to the finish now, or do you think you can pace yourselves, not have to worry about one individual game? He said there's not a lot of time, and especially with the results. He said I was sitting on the couch last night watching a movie, trying to disconnect a little bit. It was impossible. I kept checking results and was just like, holy. I used it personally.
Yeah,
I said, holy shit, this is.
Go ahead,
we haven't been in this position before. I haven't been in this position before.
Yeah.
I told my wife the way the results are going, it's definitely going to be a sprint to the finish. And we've got a couple games against those that are right around our points total. So that's going to be the true test if we can get results against them as well and make a push forward. I think they will when Dempsey comes back.
Yeah.
But I'd also note, I asked Brad, about Dempsey returning and some of the other guys, because the defining strengths of so many teams over the years in MLS have been depth and consistency.
Mm-hmm.
The Sounders have not had the consistency. I think everybody knows that.
Yep.
But now they're going to have some real serious depth once everybody's back.
Yep.
And I asked him about that. He said, I think that's still the focus, to get everybody healthy, deal with what we have, but also when we get everybody healthy, then it's about figuring out the puzzle pieces and where they fit. Sometimes the best player might not be good for the team to win as a whole, so that's going to be an interesting dynamic once everybody's back.
That's
We'll
right.
see what happens. But it's not up to me to choose the lineup, so it's not on my shoulders. Now, I had a couple people yesterday come to me and say that they thought that was a shot at some people.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
No, I don't. I think. Now, I don't think it was a shot at anybody.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me whether the best player reference was about Dempsey. I don't think he intended it that way.
No.
But I will say this about what he said at the end about puzzle pieces and choosing the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He knows that.
Yeah, he knows that. Yeah.
For 20 years, Ziggy Schmidt's biggest weakness as a coach has been putting interchangeable parts in the right places on the field.
That's right.
In Los Angeles, in Columbus,
Yep.
and now.
Yep.
The years that he won the championships that he won. The years that I like the guy as the winningest coach in MLS history for a reason.
Oh, God.
He is not a bad coach.
No.
It is his
No.
one weakness.
No, he's a great coach.
It is his one weakness.
Yes.
The years he won titles in Los Angeles and Columbus, he had a lineup where every player had a very well-defined position and knew it and played it as excellently as he is able to coach players.
Nailed it.
But there are guys on this team, as there have been a few times in the history of Ziggy's tenure here,
Yep.
who can play in a couple of different places. His job is to get it right.
That's right.
If he does, they might well go win the whole thing.
I didn't have to say anything. My face expressions probably told you everything I needed to be said.
Jonathan, I 100% agree. It's one of those things that's why I wanted to bring the question back, because I knew that's a great answer. I mean, I'll be honest,
And I've said that for
answer.
years. I've said that to a lot of
Yeah.
people for a long time.
It doesn't have to, and I know I'm seen as an absolutes guy sometimes, but for me, it's not all about absolutes. There are many shades of gray, and I'm not talking about 50 Shades of Gray, but there are many shades here that allow
haven't
me
seen
to
that
have. I was a
movie.
terrible ref. I haven't either, but there's a lot of ability here to look at him and say, just because I don't like Siggy's choices once in a while doesn't mean I want him gone. When he put Shelby Joseph up top in Portland 2 years ago, I was leading the charge to Siggy out. That pissed me off beyond
Yeah,
belief.
you were
Oh, I was so mad. Oh my God! But after reading Gass's book and talking to Gass and finding out more about his history, it changed all that.
He is a tremendous
He's an
coach of
amazing
players.
coach.
Yeah,
Yes.
But that
Yeah.
is his one
Yep.
weak spot. So he's got, if everybody's healthy and Valdez is the third guy off the bench and he's okay with that,
Yep.
they can go win a championship.
All day long. I look.
And if Freeberg's the guy, and then now, here's an example.
Oh,
You got to figure out if Pineda, Alonso, and Freeberg are all healthy,
right.
where Freeberg's going on the field.
That's right. When Alonso came on the pitch, after the first couple of minutes, the game changed. When Pineda, and I've been harping on Pineda since the beginning of the year, and let me finish.
All right, after
let me
you,
finish. I know, because I'm going to say, I've been harping on him because he loves Pineda. He plays for a shitty national team, or has
with
played
7
for
Gold Cups, baby.
No,
Yeah.
but I love Pineda last year. This year he started out good and then just dropped off for a while. That was his best performance on the pitch at the end of the
Not
match.
just that.
Ozzy Alonso makes every player on the field around him better.
Better.
I agree.
I agree.
Ozzy and Pineda together was amazing
Yes.
last night, personally.
I realize Pineda is down,
He's
down
towards the end of his career.
Yeah, but I would rather have him like he went in the 80th minute
Yep.
to close out the game
10 minutes.
with Alonso with him.
Yes.
And just he's calm, cool, collected.
Yep.
I felt good. Once he came out, I was like, we're not gonna fuck up. We're not gonna fuck up and,
Yeah.
and
No,
turn the ball over like
exactly.
we had been the majority of the game
Right.
on our own side.
Freeberg did not have a great game. He was hurt. He got subbed out, right? And he was hurt. It looked like. I don't know what. I never saw anything. It was his back. Okay. So, anyways, but that's those two out there. So I hope Siggy Schmetzer, the whole crew, brings it together for our own sake.
Yeah.
I think you'll have a little easier time against Toronto just because their defense is not very good.
Right.
And Javinko's going to be out.
Okay.
So that'll help.
Herc will be in town. Hercules, right? Is he playing?
Hercules.
He should be playing.
I love him.
Yeah.
I know.
I know.
I just love him.
Yeah, I would love. Yeah, I wanted him here.
yeah.
So a question here from one of the anonymous followers. Could the best thing for the club, at least in the long run...
Right, the anonymous people are on the meeting?
I know. No, not the anonymous people, but an anonymous viewer.
Okay.
Could the best thing for the club, at least in the long run, for the Sounders, not to make the playoffs or advance in the CSL, CCL?
Nope.
At least that way we don't have to deal with the problems and the players.
Nope.
Okay. I'm with you. I want to go all the way. I want to win everything.
All
I
the
don't.
Cubs.
The best thing for the Sounders is to win an MLS Cup and shut everybody up.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely, all day long. Okay.
Haters.
And Jonathan has been up since 4 o'clock in the morning or so. We learned. So we should probably end this and let him go to sleep.
Basic, real hardcore questions.
Oh my God! I forgot. I can't believe we forgot this.
We give it to every guest.
Oh my God!
And he has to have the standard. All right, you go first.
Biggie or Tupac?
I'm a jazz person, not a rap person. So I'm not a rapper. I'm not.
Who's got a more
Not
jazzy
at all?
lyrics?
Not my music genre. Sorry.
See now. So do you like any rap at all? Like some of the jazzy rap? Because I am a huge jazz fan as well.
I'm going to go very niche here to my hometown of D.C. and drop a name, the late, great, legendary Chuck Brown.
Beautiful. Okay.
And if any of you have ever been in Washington or heard the song "Bustin' Loose,"
Yep.
he is an icon even to a lot of the white folks, as we say in the district.
Yeah.
Love it.
I love it.
And he's my choice.
Okay, that's beautiful. I'm good with that. Good answer.
And
When we asked Alan Hinton that question, it was one of the best. It was like, what do you, it's like we were talking another language. It was awesome. It was great. It was fantastic. All right.
now it's really important. I'm gonna throw. I have to ask you too because you mentioned.
I get a lot of random questions.
I know.
From people, so
This
we
one,
totally do.
This one is, what is your favorite kind of taco? Woo. I know. I'm throwing the heaters at you.
fish.
Wow.
All right. Okay.
Ivars doesn't do fish tacos, I don't believe.
I don't think they do.
But I've had some very good ones on the West Coast over time.
Yep.
Actually, I was in San Francisco a couple days ago visiting a friend, and I had some real good ones with him. Some fish, yeah.
Interesting.
Tacos.
Okay.
Okay. And earlier you mentioned how in Philly the Latino community tends to be close to the famous Philly cheesesteak shops.
Jim's.
Oh, okay. Got me. Beat
Jim's.
me to it. Beat me to it.
Jim's.
Okay. That's good to
Now,
know.
I don't eat cheesesteaks that often because they're dreadfully unhealthy, and I'm in bad enough shape as is.
Oh, man.
But the answer to Pat's or Gino's is Jim's.
Jim's.
And it almost now there are a lot of other places actually in Philadelphia that people will tell you.
Yep.
Pat's and Gino's is a landmark destination. People, what you do is you go there with a friend.
Yep.
You each order one, and you each eat half.
Okay.
But
you
the
go.
better cheesesteak is at Jim's.
Okay.
Jim's.
And the better sandwich than any of them is a roast pork with broccoli rabe from DeNix at Reading Terminal Market.
Is that where you guys met people for the U.S. Open Cup game? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And I know some of your listeners have been there before.
Yep.
And it's like Pike Place, but it's all food. There's not any retail.
I've not been there.
Hello.
Yeah,
And
oh my God. Yeah, I would love it.
Every person who lives in Philadelphia who you ask where they should go,
Yeah.
the first place they will tell you is Reading Terminal Market. And it's not
Okay.
just a tourist destination. We all go there
Yeah.
to shop for produce, for meat,
Awesome.
to have lunch on a Saturday morning. It's where all the politicians come out to campaign in election season and whatever else. It is a wonderful melting pot for the city. And you can get a really terrific sandwich from DeNix there, and that's the one that I recommend.
Love it. Okay. Another one. I think this is the last of our normal questions. I'm trying to think.
You ask everybody Pat's or Gino's?
No, that was a new one.
That was
a new
our
one.
hybrid
All
one.
No. Your favorite Girl Scout cookie?
Oh.
Tag-alongs by a mile.
Yeah.
By a mile.
Yes.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
You win. You win.
Tug-alongs. Hold on. Is that my coconut?
That's the chocolate. No, that's the chocolate
Chocolate
peanut butter
peanut butter.
ones.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Finally,
Dude.
that's my favorite ones.
Yeah,
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Samoa. You got to throw Samoas in there.
No, I didn't. I asked.
question, but
I
we
asked the
got this
question
answer.
exactly how I wanted it.
No.
Tag-alongs, everything else trails behind.
How about we had a big argument. ECS said got to have the cookie wars.
Oh, by the way,
Mints- oh.
so my friends back home if there's anybody in Philadelphia listening, a hot dog is not a sandwich. Stop it.
Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that.
This is a raging debate among the Philadelphia sports media right now.
Locally
I'm
here,
sick of
too,
it.
unfortunately, it is also.
What?
Jude and a lot of those folks have a huge...
A hot dog is not a sandwich.
A hot dog
I
is
agree.
not
Where have
a
I
sandwich.
been that people are talking about this?
Oh, my
I
God,
have not
all
seen
on
one
Twitter.
tweet about this.
All on Twitter.
When?
For the last, months. Months.
No, hot dogs, no, it's not a
I
sandwich.
agree.
No. It's
You're
its
welcome.
own category.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. So, Jonathan, do you have anything else you want to say before you head off?
There's more people than you might think who would want to see Seattle win an MLS Cup because of what it would mean for the league.
Wow. Interesting.
Not that many haters.
There's a lot of people who want to see the Red Bulls win an MLS Cup because of what it would mean for the league.
Yep.
There's a lot of people who want to look. To me, I will point out, by the way, it's been almost a decade now since there was the last MLS final was played on the East Coast.
Wow.
That's a testament to LA and Seattle, and they've also played, obviously, some neutral site
yep.
finals in other places.
Wow.
It's getting to be time. And I don't think DC United's going to win the Supporters' Shield, but I can tell you that a DCLA final at RFK would be a wonderful thing for those of us who have watched the league for a long time. A lot of people wanted, last year in particular, to be a DCLA final because the winner of that game would then have had the most MLS Cups in the history of the league, and that would have been a good way to do it.
Yeah.
If the Red Bulls win the Supporters' Shield, I think there's a very good chance that the final is going to be at Red Bull Arena, and it's going to be a hell of an occasion no matter what team from the West comes out.
Yep. I'd like to see Seattle be the West Coast team
I'll
for
second that.
obvious
I concur.
for obvious
I'm
reasons.
sure you would.
Yeah,
But
and I'll be
it's-
going for that road trip. Yes.
I think, look, another place where I think it could happen, I mean, obviously LA, everybody's going to put it on. I think it could be in Vancouver.
I think it could too. Yeah,
And
I agree.
I'll tell you something that a lot of people might not know. TSN's contract with MLS expires after next year. The Canadian
ESPN, yeah.
Nobody doubts that they're going to re-up because they've been a loyal partner to Major League Soccer over the years, and they have the inventory, and Rogers, which runs Sportsnet, they have all the hockey, so they don't have it. With all the talk of the Canadian League going on and the possibility of TSN being a major player and sponsor in that, a lot of people think that TSN might not write as big of a check to MLS as MLS wants.
Right.
But if Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver are all in the playoffs, and there's a final in Vancouver,
Yep.
or Toronto is able to make a run, you're going to see 3 giant clubs in Canada.
Yep.
In terms of financial resources, fan bases, resonance in their markets.
Yep.
And I think that will be good for the league.
I agree. 100% agreed.
I'm out.
Jonathan, you want to do your thing?
Dude, it's been my pleasure.
It's
You are the
been fun
man.
for me. Thank you.
You are the man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I again as a fan of yours, follow at the goalkeeper
Yeah.
on Twitter because he just talked about the TV contracts, etc. Knowing where, when, how, what, why, all that stuff when it relates to where to watch something, look at that's one of the things I love more than anything about you.
The 2 questions that I get asked most often as a soccer journalist are, how do I get to PPL Park from the people in Philadelphia? And I tell them, if you have a car, that's great because I don't.
Yeah. So drive me and I'll show you.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's this game I want to watch. What channel is it on?
Yeah.
The most read stuff that I write, by virtue of search engine optimization and whatever else, those TV schedules that I do are the most read stuff that I write. And I'm very meticulous about maintaining
Me
them
too.
to make sure they're accurate. They're all at philly.com/soccer, by the way, if you want to go.
Yeah. Philly.com/soccer.
The
Philly.com/soccer.
demand is there. It's not always as big. Remember, it's not always as big as we think it is. We are still a small community.
We are.
We are still a growing community.
Yep.
In all of the markets at MLS and collectively in the country.
Even here.
But
Yep.
we have all seen the growth. We have all seen the potential. And I've said for a long time, we're generally all better off working together to do stuff than we are squabbling with each over this or that.
Agreed. 100% agreed. So with that said, thanks to the Berliner Pub for letting
Thank
us come
you.
down here as always.
Everybody hung
The
out.
People watching locally, people watching online, those of you listening later. Jonathan at the goalkeeper.
At the
On
goalkeeper.
Twitter.
Follow him.
Outstanding. Thank you so very much.
Is he going to sing karaoke?
No, probably not saying karaoke. But thank you so much. I am Aaron
All right,
Riley.
guys. Later.
Hugo.
At me, Vida Seattle.
We will see you guys on the flip side.